Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Untitled Mikicast, this podcast, whatever the fuck it's called. We're back to talk about more Symphogear. I am joined today by Will.
Hello, I am Will Dill. You know me. I've been doing
Yes,
a lot of
everybody
things
knows
recently.
him now.
Yep.
And we're also joined by Nyard.
Hey, you also know me.
No, I don't.
Incredible introductions.
I am
so
the
we are
guy
back
who beats Miki's podcast listening count in Digicode Radio by at least double.
Yeah, I mean, nobody
Poor
likes
Miki.
me anywhere, so
come on, don't say
so
that.
it's kind of normal.
Don't say that.
Well, there
We're
are
here.
people who like me, but the vast majority of people have one negative experience with me and then go, fuck this guy forever.
Hey, but you make it very easy to go that. You have those moments where you show people your best side first.
Hey, if there's
Yes.
something Symphogear has taught us is that bad first impressions don't mean shit. All right.
That is very true. Symphogear keeps teaching us that. We are back to talk about Symphogear GX, the third season of Symphogear. And I'm pretty
Hold on,
excited
you gotta
for
say
this
the
one.
full title, dude.
Symphogear GX. Fuck.
Believe in justice, and
and
hold
the
determination to fist.
There we are.
Determination.
I didn't
to fix.
remember the first part. I didn't remember believe in justice for a second. It took me a minute for that to come to my head.
The most important part stuck with you, and that's the determination to fist.
Oh, yeah. The most important part.
And that's just one of the beautiful things about, I guess I want to call it English, because they really probably didn't know the connotation we would immediately have with that phrase.
I mean, yeah,
for sure.
It's badass, but at the same time, it's like, hold on a minute.
I'm not going to lie, Will, watching your release of Symphogear, there's a lot of double entendres in your script. There's a lot of horny in your script, bro.
There's a lot of
Just
horny.
saying.
That's Kami though. The horny is Kami.
It's true. Base Kami coming to save the world again through their translations of anime.
Through the determination to fist.
You know, I think there's one way. There's only one way we can start this fucking podcast, and that, of course, is with the best scene in all of anime, the first scene of Symphogear GX, because this scene is absolutely incredible. Like, I think it's many people's first experience of Symphogear, like in general, because it's the clip that people like to share to like sell the show, like real quick to someone. It's like, watch Symphogear. Why? Watch this. Okay, I watch Symphogear.
Dude, watch Symphogear. Symphogear, they German
it's-
suplex a space shuttle over like fucking building after beheading a mountain.
It's either like a church building or like the town center.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
Yeah.
After going through a fucking Himalayan mountain and like shaving its top.
and then
while
there's the guy
riding
who's
a
like-
crashing fucking space shuttle and saving
there's-
its content and pilots.
And then there's Wikipedia bro who's like, "Oh no, we gotta change the Wikipedia entry real quick."
Literally
Now
the
the
best
third
line.
tallest mountain in the world.
That's literally the best line of all of anime. Like I did a small wall recently on that. It's just like in the middle of the fucking chaos. This guy just goes, adjusting K2's height to the third highest mountain in the world. Yeah. I love this.
It's an incredible joke.
Listen, the guy has an appreciation for clean data management. You know, this is not something where, like, talk to your database management person. This is not something you, like, push onto the next guy that you, like, keep procrastinating, going like, oh, yeah, the next guy's going to fix this next.
Yeah.
No, you just, right there, you did it, you fix it. There you go.
Yeah.
I
This
appreciate
guy's
You
it.
see,
on
I'm
fucking
learning
point.
about that right now, setting up my new hard drives for all my anime. God
Listen,
damn it.
But I do think this scene is very important for a lot of reasons, not just because it's like extremely over the top and extremely good action that gets the plot going and resolves even some things in the past season, but because this scene is like it's the prime example of the irreverence of Symphogear, but also of like anime in general or anime in the same vein as Symphogear, right? It's literally like we don't care. We're just gonna make the most ridiculous, over the top bullshit you've ever seen, and it's gonna be fucking awesome. And like,
Yeah. Is it the most anime scene in anime?
it's up there. I mean, if you have some, it's definitely in the top 10, maybe even top 5, right?
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's some TNA all over it too, so definitely top 5.
Yeah, and like this is like just a love letter. It's
frankly, in this opening episode of Symphogear, I felt like, even for Symphogear, the fucking like horny was turned up to 11. Like,
oh yeah, with fucking Tsubasa, I was like, man, this rocket sure is hard to ride, and then Chris is like, well, you just gotta do it like you do with me.
And then there's also like a moment where Hibiki like actually just like jumps onto Chris's face.
Oh, no, it's the opposite. It's the opposite.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, Chris jumps onto Hibiki's face. Yeah.
Can we appreciate that computer guy and the computer girl in Symphogear that are always on the bridge? Like they're actual MVPs. These two. Like obviously they're the like not the trends, but the the characters in Ava, the computer people are just always shouting technobabble and everything that's going on, and like these two are this, but for Symphogear, but of course they're extremely over the top.
Yeah, well, because it's Symphogear.
Yeah, it is not easy also, being the tech person in Symphogear. It really isn't.
Yeah. No, not at all. Especially, well, I mean, like I imagine if your boss is Genjiro, you kind of pick up on a little bit of that energy.
Of course, yeah.
That Chad cool dad energy.
But we can also talk about this amazing opening scene a little bit from the technical perspective, because I really liked how they used, while the space shuttle's on a descent, how like crushing through the mountains, we had this amazing, frankly, use of CGI just to capture like this momentum of the mountains rushing past, and I think it's one of the more seamless blends of like CG backgrounds with like action animation in front of it that I've seen. So high points for this. So because of course I think GX again ups the production value compared to G, right? Like the first episode here looks fucking amazing.
Yeah, it looks absolutely incredible. The first few episodes are just like episode 1, 2, 3 are just extremely beautiful to look at.
I feel like I'm gonna say this right now. I feel like we're gonna say this with every season of this show, because I feel like the first episode of every Symphogear season is Satellite going, we did pretty well last time, but just look at what we can do now, boys.
Now hold my beer.
Yeah, but I still think that Will is right in saying that this is the scene you can show someone and go like, this is Symphogear.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah.
I think if nothing else, it captures the ethos of Symphogear. Not the ethos, like the feeling, the like, this is fucking cool. This is fucking anime as hell. Let's fucking go. Fucking,
And I mean, not just the fucking space shuttle scene, but also like if you just skip a bit ahead in the episode, you're like, okay, this is the second part of Symphogear, and you show this amazing fucking idol concert, which maybe is my favorite in the entire series. I'm not sure. Maybe this is my favorite because
I think it's been a while since we've seen the XV one.
Maybe it's been a while. True, it's been a while. But like for now,
it's been a while since I've seen XV.
Yet. It's my favorite yet because it is just amazing how they're like sliding on the water surface and like the camera is twisting around them and their dresses
and then
incredible.
The stage opens up behind them and you see out into the Thames.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
that's the Thames, right?
The Thames River. By the way, we commented on that when me and Yara were watching. It's like, the Thames River has got to be fucking disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not as bad as like the Potomac or like some of the rivers here in America, but it's got to be fucking gross.
Oh, I've heard
it's in the future. It's in the future. We just theorized that they cleaned it. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Future technology. We cleaned the Thames. That's what we did.
All the practice that Tsubasa and Maria were doing purified the river.
Yes, this concert purified the river.
Yeah, that was the purifying ritual.
And how could it not be? I mean, have you seen those dresses? I think I've never seen like an anime character be more pretty than Maria in her dress there. That's just
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm fucking blown away completely.
the dress and the haircut, and then the fucking choreography and they're flying around, the water spraying.
Yeah, the
everywhere.
wires, the fucking
wires,
wires. I love the fact that they're flying around, but they like map it to like normal ass, like wire stuff.
And
Yeah.
the booba.
The
And
booba.
the booba.
The
The
booba.
booba. And and yeah, of course, this song is called Satan Galaxy Cross. So star-studded Galaxy Cross or something like that. And Galaxy Cross, that's GX. I
Damn!
think that they did it.
we
That's
did
the
it.
title drop right there in episode 1.
Isn't it like oh god, was it like a Monster Hunter game where it was like had an X in its name but everyone called it Monster Hunter Cross? Isn't
No,
this
no,
the-
because in Japan, that's just what they do.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is Symphogear G Cross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn right. Galaxy
Yeah.
Cross.
You know what? You need to stick to that. It's not GX, fuck GX, it's G Cross.
It's G Cross.
Yeah, listen. We got Symphogear, we got Symphogear Gungnir, we got Symphogear Galaxy Cross, and then we'll have Axes and 15.
Yeah. What a naming convention. It's
It's
pretty-
not-
Are
it's
you
not-
sure
it's
it's
not-
not? Are you sure it's not Cross V? Are you sure about that?
No,
Will?
no. They actually pronounce it Exiv.
Oh,
Exiv.
Exiv.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep.
Good job, guys.
Thanks, Kaneko. All right.
I'll fuck it up,
Points
though, I'll
for
guarantee it.
consistency, Kaneko. All right. Let's actually talk about more than just us like pogging to the first episode of Sympho.
Oh, we're not fucking done. Those introduction
Oh,
shots
oh.
for the fucking dolls, like the first doll against the fucking moon, and like the autoscar dolls, right? They have these dance poses, and when they introduce you, have them like in these amazing poses against like the moon backdrop, and it's fucking amazing.
They're always posing.
I love the
Always
dancing.
posing. And the fucking designs of the dolls are like all 10 out of 10.
Dude. Yeah.
Holy
Oh yeah, they're all
shit.
incredible.
And like just the idea of taking like different dance styles and making those like the fighting movesets of those dolls. That's an ingenious idea, and I fucking love it every scene. Like you will not
Yep.
often find me just sitting there gushing at like action scenes or like something like that. But when watching GX or G Cross, Will can attest to me to the unusual amount to which I just pogged the fuck out at every scene where the dancing and fighting was joined in this way.
Yeah, they do the tap dancing, they do the fucking ballet, they do everything. And they
Some tango
it's
shit.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And god damn, it's great. And then we get
I
to
mean,
Carol, which
it's-
introduces
Yeah, it's
everything.
because it introduces the entire other side of Symphogear. The reason they're dancing is because they're creations of alchemy, and that's the counterpart to the Symphogear, the singing, right?
which funny enough is some nice foreshadowing already, because obviously like our singing fighting idols are also dancing. This is like not something really separate, which the series by the end kind of arrives at as well, that alchemy and music and song aren't all that entirely different.
I mean, it's already like, if you know about alchemy, it's already kind of been implied, and I kind of touched on it last season with the silver and gold thing, being
Yes.
like your purest, most like ultimate metals in alchemical symbolism. I'm not an expert, and I probably should have boned up on it before I started this podcast. God damn
don't worry
it.
about it.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
The alchemical, like the gold and silver things, it's gonna get much more relevant in Axes. So yeah,
Yes. So I have time.
But I agree with you that like, or rather that like the entire first 3 episodes here basically set up all of the main ideas we need to know for this season, like the main conflicts that we'll be working through, and also the final conflict ultimately, and it like is borne out into in a magnificently poetic way, I think, by us being able to interpret what the differences between song and alchemy actually mean. So I think we're going to be doing this quite a bit in this podcast, because I think almost all of the main themes tie into this, at least somewhat.
yeah.
But
Um,
even
but
the
I
first
think- I
episode,
think-
yeah.
I think for the most part, I think there's some other like DNA in this season that comes from personally one of my favorite shows, Giant Robo, which I talk about in the Tangelo episode. You can go back and listen to it there, where he mistakenly watched Giant Gorg.
Or
I'll never let
it's
him live
terrible.
it down.
They don't shit about Gundam, okay?
This is true. None of us know anything about Gundam, and yet somehow we bring it up like 6 times.
Yeah, and also Miki deleted the Gundam episode, the fucking Gundam episode with Gundam Unicorn where I was on.
Hey, okay, here we fucking go. Wada said I fucking deleted them. You have now said I fucking deleted them. I did not delete them. I fucked up, okay? I transferred them, or I thought I transferred them. I moved them into a folder, and then I fucking moved them onto my new PC, because I was switching PCs at the time. And somehow, during that process, all the fucking episode files did not transfer. Like, all fucking, 6 fucking episodes.
That is a tragedy, a deep tragedy.
I went in to look for the episodes I had finished. I couldn't fucking find them. I was like, oh shit. Well, at least I've saved all these fucking Audacity projects. I'll be able to go back into there and fucking find them that way. And you know what? I went into the Audacity projects, and there's only one fucking track in one person's audio. And I just sat there and I stared at it for fucking 3 hours. And I was just clicking frantically through all the fucking episodes and trying to listen and trying to see if I actually had they're gone. They're fucking vanished.
What lesson does this teach? I think the lesson is put it on Google Drive after you finish the episode.
The lesson is finish the episode, upload it immediately.
Yes.
So you can't fucking fuck it up.
Yes, exactly. God.
Giant Robo.
I just yesterday recorded a fucking almost 4-hour long Nausicast again. If I were to lose any of those, that would be fucking devastating. Oh my god.
Giant Robo.
Giant Robo.
Giant Robo it is. Will, just let me know if this sounds familiar. All right, so let's start with the main villain. All right, the main villain, there's a lot of questions about the main villain. There's some issues with memory, some sort of task left to them by their father that they completely misunderstand, and it leads them down the wrong path. It leads them down this path of seeking vengeance against a world that, rejected their father's work. Yep. And, it just continues to propel them throughout all these years.
We talking about Photo Man?
At the end. Nope. And then at the end, there's this big revelation that results in this beautiful crying scene of the main villain. As they realize that the task left to them by their father, they didn't understand it at all. And it was just, these faulty memories propelling them. On top of that, we have the main hero who has this question of what the fuck were they left by their father, right? What are they supposed to do with it? How are they supposed to move forward? We have that going on as well.
Yes. So obviously, Symphogear has always been paying homage to all of those big animes that we all love, and Giant Robo is one of them. Obviously. And GX, or Galaxy Cross, is very much inspired by Giant Robo, with all of the father teaming and the memories and what have my dad gave me, Yeah, it's all over there, and we're gonna get into it.
This is a great way also to go into it, unless Miki wants to expand on the Giant Robo parallels.
Well, I mean, I did kind of want to just bring up the fact that I was shocked that you hadn't made the Giant Robo connection, because in episode 12, and we're skipping ahead a little bit here because I just want to talk about this real quick. There is this fucking moment where literally, if you listen to Japanese, it's almost word for fucking word. The commander just, Genjiro just up and says one of the pivotal fucking lines from Giant Robo. Can a bright future be achieved without sacrifice? Right? He just comes out and fucking says it.
Yep.
And that was the moment where I was like, oh, wait, all this father shit. Oh, this whole fucking season is a riff on Giant Robo. Of course, it's Symphogear, so it doesn't just like straight up do Giant Robo.
Yeah.
It takes these sorts of concepts of like your relationship to the generation that came before, and we can kind of see this with the girls and mom. We can see this with the reintroduction of Dr. Ver. We can see this between Hibiki and her father. We can see this between...
It takes those ideas and yeets them onto the fucking moon.
It yeets them into like fucking everybody's arc this season, right? Tsubasa and Maria and fucking everybody, including Chris. Although Chris, it's like a little just moment that she has.
Yes.
But yeah, it exactly does that. I think there's also like, I was shocked this time is that like the entire like, you know, Carol's like big like, you know, meltdown moment after everything she's trying to do is all fucked up. You know, there's a lot of, I wouldn't say like there's straight up references as much as there are parallels to Genya at the end of Giant Robo when he's fucking like breaking down. He finally receives his father's message in full. He fucking notices his sister dead there on the ground, fading away, like what Elf 9 says at the end when she's meeting with Carol. And there's this fucking like beautiful moment in there where Genya just fucking like turns to the ceiling after Kusama Daisaku crashes through with Giant Robo, and he shouts out, Kisama wa nani suru sumori da. Giant Robo, yeah. Kusama Daisaku! And he's just like crying and like there are tears streaming down his face and he's just fucking destroyed, just like Carol at the end.
Yep. See, I didn't do the fucking connection to Giant Robo because I've seen Giant Robo once. I fucking love it. It's fucking amazing. I've seen GX I don't know how many times. And it's like I just never really like just made the connection at all. I don't know.
But I mean, it is a good connection. So and that's
yeah.
I didn't make the connection until my first time through on episode 12 because I had recently come off a Giant Robo rewatch
for the podcast.
And then Commander said the fucking line, and I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just like the realization moment. Oh, all this fucking father shit. It's Giant Robo.
Yeah.
And I guess like I kind of want to like hook in here. And I think it's pretty interesting to like work backwards off of like the end and how Carol comes to reinterpret her memory of her father and tie the whole series from that like kind of backwards, if that makes sense. Because in episode 1 at the end we get a little flashback of Carol is like, I'm the apocalypse of all creation, the murderer of miracles, whatnot, and so on. Because blah blah blah, miracles get treated unfairly by people, and remembers her father burning. It's like on a, you know, pyre,
getting burns at the stakes,
basically, in like medieval times or whatnot. And it's clear that her father was like a good person, healing people. She talks about this and was burned at the stake for the miracles of his healing. And basically,
he's the good hunter.
Yeah, and basically, it says some words to her that she doesn't really know what to make of. What's the exact quote?
It's no more of the world.
Exactly. So what Carol, super confused, father just died. Her father, who did only like great things, went around healing people, being like the best guy of the world, basically. That's how we learn to understand him throughout the series. Died at the stake. And she's like, learn more of the world. Well, this is a world that kills people like my father. So what am I doing? Okay, alchemy. Alchemy is dissecting things, taking them apart, breaking them. And I immediately read this as Carol taking an extremely disaffected position towards the world because miracles aren't possible. So basically everything that transcends logic or like the determinism of the world and the laws of physics, for her, the solution is scientism. Like complete dissolution of substance, of matter, to understand how it all functions and to not accept that anything happens outside of materialism. Because this is another big theme. Free will versus materialism or like predetermination is a huge theme in this work. So what her approach is, miracles don't work. What we need is, because people will not understand each other and will fuck each other over, we need to take all matter apart and come to a truly objective understanding of the world. But then she has this memory of her father, come to understand the world. You cannot give an objective answer to that. And I love that this is the basically crux of her character arc. She cannot understand fully what her father meant because there is no way to interpret this. Like, no, there's only ways to interpret this, but there's no ways to answer. What did he mean?
Yeah, and the genius thing that a Galaxy Cross does about this part is Carol, of course, comes from the medieval times, and she's an alchemist, and the reason why she's still alive is that she clones herself, doing some homunculi shit, and like copy and paste her memories into other bodies. And so she has a clone of herself called Elf9, and Elf9 inherits her memories of the father as well, and she comes to understand them in a completely different way than Carol.
Exactly.
And
Elfline interprets the same memories in a different way. And this is, I think, so cool, which like challenges this like predetermination idea, right? Like the idea is if everything is like given to us by our environment, then we're completely have no decision, no choice, no free will. But here we have Elf9 with literally the same memories, breaking the code, breaking the program, because she's kind of like a doll, an artificial being programmed by Carol. And Carol,
well, I mean, Carol herself is that. And I think through alchemy, through this force, I mean, that we're told is about analysis, that's deconstruction, analysis, and reconstruction, right? We're told that it's powered through memories, and that's another point of connection as we see in this season, right?
Oh yeah,
like
memories.
One of the biggest connecting forces. It's a force that connects Carol to Elf9. It's a force that, connects Carol to her subsequent bodies, that connects Carol to the auto scorers, that connects Hibiki to her father, etc., etc., etc.
Memories are so big, and it all ties into the theme of interpretation. So what Carol does is burn memories. For her, it's like fuel. It is quantifiable. It is utilitarian. We can make memories not into something important, foundational, but like as a past that fuels the present. Whereas the Ignite module of the Symphogears also deals with memories, but instead of taking memories and burning them, we are confronting memories and challenging ourselves and growing with these memories, right? The Ignite modules is when they stab themselves, and throughout the season we encounter like all our Symphogear girls having conflicts with themselves to cope, to deal with the kind of memories they see in there, these formative moments. And instead of burning them, confronting them. And that's like the huge difference, because by the end of it, we know that Carol has burned so many memories that she doesn't even fucking know anymore why she's fighting.
Yeah. See, and not only, and the memories also here, they're also fucking tie into the fucking individuality, right? Because the memories are what makes us us, and burning your memories is sort of a rejection of individuality in a way. So
it's sort of the idea that all that came is just there to like fuel the present, and it doesn't matter because you don't interpret it. You just like you're an extension of the past in that way. The completely materialistic perspective that nothing can be changed ultimately, that miracles aren't possible.
Yeah.
Whereas the Symphogear users, of course, like screamingly insist that miracles are possible in that way.
Yeah. And what makes the Ignite works, of course, is them overcoming their memories, right? It's beating them. And,
the theme...
not beating them, but learning from them and growing beyond, growing from
transmuting them, you might say.
The theme from season 1 again, where we talked about this circle of like conflict leading to growth, leading to conflict, leading to growth, where conflict is just as important as overcoming conflict as like part of growing.
Yeah. See,
I mean, when
you dismantle everything, it's sort of like an instrumentality, right? It's just a pure objective understanding of the world. It's just there's no memories, and so there's no
you're
there's
reducing
no individuals. It's
you're reducing the complexity of the situation, right? You're losing all of those emergent factors, so to speak, like memories, right?
Yeah, and that's why I say like the objective account does not capture meaning, and meaning can never be objective, right? This is an impasse that Symphogear has dealt with from the start, in my opinion, where constantly we highlight how language, how the way people communicate is flawed, has no answers, and will always cause conflict. And how Symphogear also insists that this is kind of a good thing and necessary thing for humans to develop.
Yeah.
But if you go with like a complete objective approach, then and dismantle everything into this completely scientism understanding without granting yourself any sort of sense of free will or the possibility of miracles, you'll end up bitter and broken and with hatred for the world without possibility of reconciling.
Yeah, see, Carol burning her memories is it's sort of like the alchemical end goal, right? Of like learning to know the world, or this is kind of like a rejection of the past, of her horrible memories. It's a rejection of the past, and so she detaches herself from herself, from her individuality, and so it creates a sort of instrumentality. Because instrumentality has no need for memories or individuality. And so
I think it's important to stress here that is just Carol's end goal of her alchemy, and that's not something necessary to alchemy, because her father definitely has an answer to that.
Exactly.
And Elfnine does as well.
Yeah, exactly. So there's like
because for him, it's not about breaking down everything in the world. It's about, creating that connection to understanding, right?
Exactly.
The same way that the Symphogear's songs work, right?
But this is also why it's important to interpret what alchemy means, right? And this is also what crucially like hinges for is the problem for Carol. For her, the question of interpreting what that means is like a point where she like sort of shuts down because she doesn't know the answer and thinks the answer can't be known. Therefore, let's learn everything. Therefore, let's dismantle everything. But it's of course hatred fueled. But she's just convinced herself, sort of, that this is the answer she must arrive at because her father was killed.
It's because her very memories reject her desires, right?
Exactly.
We get this over and over again.
She's always experiencing some rejection of like. Her body is literally rejecting her memories because she's going like against her father's words in a way, and she even herself, just by having lived for so long and having fought all this time, burning memories, of course, because that's her fuel, has forgot the reason why she's doing this.
And it's also to understand it psychologically, because she would rather eradicate all those memories instead of dealing with like the absoluteness and the cruelty of her father's death. And instead of remembering his kindness, she uses them as fuel for war, because that's the way that she never has to confront the hurt.
Yes, instead of coming to terms with these memories and transforming them ultimately, as all of our Symphogear users have to do to triumph in this season, right?
Burning is even
Hibiki
right?
at the end. Sorry?
Burning is just deconstructing. We're just combusting those memories. You're right. It's not transforming or reconstructing. It's only half of alchemy.
Yeah, I mean, even the stages of the Dainsleif, the Ignite modules, right? The stages of them are alchemical steps, right? Albedo, the transformation into whiteness, and then the last step before you achieve like the ultimate product of Rubedo, as like comes up entirely offhand at the end of the series.
Yeah.
I didn't even pick up on that. I didn't even know that. Okay, that's good. But that even makes my point stronger, because I just wanted to try to make the point that song and alchemy are pretty much the same thing. Because we learn that when the curse of Balal hit the world, basically humans tried to come up with two different ways to solve like the gap in understanding, and one is alchemy and one is song. But really, like, we understand that they are extremely similar. Like, they are acts of creation where you take the past information and process it in some way, transform it into something new, which you can use to communicate with others. Like, all of this is in there.
Art. That's essentially what it is. You make art, whatever if it's alchemy or music, it doesn't matter. But
well, I think the thing is that that's the one distinction between like the Symphogears like art. Like, if we understand the Symphogears as art, then the alchemy is like analysis, is what comes after, is criticism, analysis, breaking down, understanding, reconstructing, right? These are
And it is also
are very
technology.
specifically critical terms.
It is also
Yeah, but it's
technology
also
and
that
medicine
sort of
and stuff like that, right? Like helping people,
Yeah.
healing people, bringing like technology to the world to bring them together. That's also like huge part of what I guess what I would put in the alchemy tradition. Because I mean, think about it, like she makes these homunculi dolls. She has like this huge floating steampunk castle, which looks very technical in most ways. Like the coding is there.
Oh yeah,
I think.
there's those giant like gear fucking sprocket wheels turning and shit.
Exactly.
And it's
and
fucking
alchemy,
cool.
I mean, alchemy is used to improve the art. It's used to improve the symphogear, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So like we're kind of in this sort of state where these are separate forces. They're not the same thing, right? They're separate forces, but they're they rely upon each other ultimately.
Yeah.
Alchemy comes to improve Symphogear as an anime, and it will later improve Symphogears as objects in the anime. But
well, I mean, it has already with the Ignite module.
yeah, it has already, of course. But while we are on the Ignite module and alchemy and all of that, I just want to point out, of course, that the Ignite transformations turns their armor black, of course, which ties back into Maria's black Gungnir, which, of course, was a symbol of repressed feelings and like loss of identity and just rejecting your own identity, right? And so it's the same thing here with the fucking Ignite module. Well, it's not the same thing because it's, of course, triumphing over those repressed feelings and regrets and all of that. But it comes from the same place.
It's alchemy. The first step in the process, which is why I looked this up, is which they like mention in the show is Negredo is like blackness, putrefaction, spiritual death, right? And after that, they mentioned the second stage is albedo, which is like whiteness, spiritual purification. And after that, there's another step that involves gold, which is like, which we skip over in this season. We do not get to that in this season.
We'll get to the gold.
We'll get to the gold next season, I believe.
Yes.
And then the final step is like, rubedo, which is like, like the finalized product when you get to your gold.
That's the amalgam. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But what else? Do we have anything else to say here on alchemy and all of that? We're gonna want to get
probably
into
gonna come up something else later on, but
yeah. We'll find something, I'm sure.
Because, I mean, I don't really have any segue, but fathers, of course, are really important.
That's where we go.
That's where
that
we go.
That was the other place we could have gone from Giant Robo.
Yeah. So fathers, of course, are extremely important in this season. As we've discussed a little bit with Carol here, her father's words is what she interprets in a way, and Elfline in another way, and this is the main driving force of both of their characters. And well, what makes those two characters, of course, extremely fascinating is that they are the same person basically, but that just diverge in different ways.
They have this different fundamental interpretation.
But what matters for them is that their fathers left them with those words, right? And since they've got those words, their life has been driven by them since then. And then we get the comparison, of course, at the end of episode 1 and episode 2 with Hibiki, because Hibiki has, as she says, no dad. And she's like, but hold on a minute. My dad never left me anything.
Yeah. And I think even more relevant is Tsubasa's connection with her father, right?
But let's talk about fathers broadly before we get into each specific one, because I
think in a way, like the father is where like the most, if we're gonna go with like the psychoanalytic perspective, right? It's where like the most foundational memories come from for all of these characters.
Like think about anime broadly, right? How many anime there are where there's either missing fathers or dead fathers or like absent fathers in some way. Like it is almost constitutionally important for a shonen, for example, to have no father. You have in
Yep.
Hunter x Hunter where Gon is constantly chasing Ging. You have One Piece where Ruffy basically grows up without um, parents around, only with like a replacement father figure, which we
I mean,
chase all the time with like Shanks. We have Naruto's father who's like immediately dead, and that's like the huge point that is like his legacy also. So I'm just making
or
the point.
to use Giant Robo,
Yeah.
we have these sets of dead fathers who have left behind nothing but words for their children, and that
Exactly.
they have to find the answer to, right?
And we have this common motif of like fathers missing. And I just kind of broadly asked the question, and I have an answer, of course. But like the missing father, of course, represents something more broadly. And if we're going psychoanalytically, it is like the first couple of foundational memories. But I actually want to go like the big Lacan dick, where the
All right.
father basically symbolizes the structured, harmonious, functioning order of the world. So, in like psychoanalytic logic, where a missing father would be representing, and I'll try to stop myself from going into jargon, where the missing father would represent a fragmentation or a breaking of the symbolic order. Symbolic order, I
Yeah.
mean, you could look at like Joe's videos, pause and select on like Evangelion, there it comes up, but it's basically like the sense that society does not work if I would put it as easy as possible. Like that
Well, I
people,
think we can see this in the difference between Elf9 and Carol, right? Because Elf9's thing is that, right, what her father left her was this desire to live in harmony with the world.
yeah.
And Carol takes this memory of her missing father to decide that the world is broken and she should just take it all apart.
Yeah.
Right? The
But
symbolic order.
Absolutely. And it is, I think, best to see in Evangelion, but because that's also the example Joe uses in the video. But it's like, for Shinji, basically the stability and order of the world hinges on his father's perception of him, and his father is fucking extremely demanding. So for him, basically the entire world is extremely demanding. And in this show, in G-Cross, we have absent fathers for basically every single character here, where they have to sort of deal with what they have been given in terms of the world. And you see what happens to Hibiki when she sees her father again, the father who, in a sense, gave up on the family, ran away, was afraid, or whatnot,
Okay.
right? Like,
I wanna
destabilizes
get
the entire world.
I mean, beyond that, it's the source of Chris's trauma. It's the source of Tsubasa fashioning herself into a tool or a weapon.
We'll get into all that. We'll get into Maria and Kirika as well, and Shirabe. But for now, Hibiki, okay? Because Hibiki, of course, her whole deal is wanting to understand who she's fighting with, right? And why they're doing their things they're doing. So when she meets Carol for the first time, she cannot possibly, like, she comes to like the conclusion that she can't do anything against Carol because Carol's motivation are her father's word, and she doesn't understand that. She has nothing.
Hibiki doesn't even remember her father's words.
I mean, yeah, she remembers them subconsciously, as we'll see, but she never associated the words "Heiki Hechara" or "everything's fine," right? To her father.
Everything's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
This is such a perfect example also of the symbolic order, right? Like for Hibiki, there's a crisis in that symbolic order because she like feels like her father is not who she always like pictured him to be and can't deal with this. But then she remembers, wait, this phrase my father gave me has always helped me make sense of the world, has always helped me structure the world, has always given me something on my way. This is such a perfect example of like the kind of way she works through that. I really love that.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hibiki goes through a lot in this season, of course, with her father, of course, and Carol, but also she sort of experiences doubt in the beginning because of that, right? It's just, well, what I can't do shit, so what am I gonna do? She can't even sing, right?
Yeah. In the same way that Daisaku at the very end of Giant Robo is unable to move because he can't find an answer to his father's words. But with Hibiki, it's not that she can't find an answer to them, it's that she can't fucking find them in the first place, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And then Maria comes in and steals the fucking Gungnir from her and fights for her, and then of course, by the way, her Gungnir at that point does not have a cape. Just thought I'd point that out.
Yeah.
She went over that.
We don't see the cape again until Maria, Kirika, and Shirabe have to fight their past in the castle.
Yep.
That's a discussion for later.
Yep, true. Watashi ga fine.
So what fathers do is not just structure the world, but also, and I guess this goes into a lot of the alchemy stuff again. In this show, at least, fathers also leave something behind. For Carol and Elf9, a task, something to interpret, right? Symbolically, or rather, like in a big themes sense, I would call that as basically like your raison d'être, like your reason for life, what you're doing with your life. And I guess this is also applicable to Tsubasa because of her father, she fashions herself into a blade because she thinks that's her duty as part of that family. And that also goes for, partially for Hibiki because of this message that her father left her behind that she always calls back into memory. But of course, most importantly for Carol and Elf9, who are just completely driven by interpreting what was left behind. So basically, their meaning for life is to make sense of the world by understanding what their missing father basically means.
I mean, I think the thing that's most shocking to me about this season is because I tend to think of it as like Genjiro as being like the surrogate father to all the Symphogear wielders, right?
Yes.
I think I'm a little shocked as to how little of a role he actually had to play here.
I've always had that take as well. But you know, I feel like Genjiro should have had like some role in either Hibiki's arc or Chris's arc or Subasa's arc, but he's sort of absent.
He's also an absent father. The girls have to figure out. I mean, that's kind of ultimately the point, right? The father is gone now. Like, you will have to figure something out now. I mean, for Hibiki, the father isn't gone because she brings him back. But that's the point. Like, imagine if we would have gotten around the arc with Hibiki's father if Genjiro had been a more dominant father figure. I don't think that would have helped the show.
No, I don't think it would have worked. It's shocking to me how absent he is, but like when we're talking about in terms of the themes like this, it totally makes sense, right? Because it's all about these characters, like everyone, literally everyone trying to grapple with their father's legacy, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think
their lives are determined by their father's words.
I think there's a sort of I think the thing we haven't touched on in terms of this is Dr. Vare being this sort of like twisted father figure to both Kirika and Shirabe, right?
Yes.
This is Will's personal conquest to convince everyone that Dr. Ware is like the best character of all times.
No, he's fucking excellent. Shut up.
Yeah. Can I just read my text? Does that work?
Yeah, sure.
Because,
lecture time.
I mean, yeah, lecture time. Let's go. Listen. All right. Okay, so the interpretation here of Dr. Vare, right, is that considering his insanity, but also, okay, yeah. So, if Dr. Vare, okay, I should just start from the beginning, right? Let's just start from the beginning.
Okay,
go for it.
So, Symphogear, in a way, right? I've always seen it as the work itself is some kind of vessel, right? It's an avenue through which the creators and everyone, the creators, the voice actors, the animators, Kaneko, Agematsu, musicians, whatever. It's sort of like their unified voice. And so, however, I do think that Symphogear, in its otaku spirit, also extends that voice to its fans, right? If a story like Symphogear can have some sort of conscience of its own, then there's got to be somewhere in there a sort of central pillar, one element present in that story on which everything is founded. And so no, the Dr. Bear is not the foundation, of course, but his words are extremely important in that regard. Of course, his iconic "It's love, my dear" or "I desio," right? It's extremely cliche, and I would even argue, it's extremely cliche, but that's the fucking point, right? I need to make clear that in Symphogear, I mean, that's how Symphogear operates. That's how it works. It's love, my dear. That's the core. That's the core thing. That's why every time there's a fucking Symphogear conversation, and I have nothing to say. I'm always just, well, it's love, my dear. Like, what else can I say, right? So, let me just start reading instead of just paraphrasing. So, in short, it can be looked at as a sort of celebration of the medium. No, a value of the values of art in general. It's a world where not only music or art serves as a lingua franca, so a universal language, for its inhabitants, helping them connect and find peace despite the difficulties of communications. It's also an extremely over-the-top and goofy world where consuming art or of any medium, or I use the word consuming, and Tony's going to be getting mad at me, but consuming art of any medium seems to literally make the characters stronger, right? We always get those scenes of Hibiki and Genjiro watching movies, or Genjiro in the special giving movies to the girls, and that's their fucking training regime. So consuming art makes you stronger, like literally. So here's what we can draw from those simple facts. 1, the characters, out of their love for the art they engage with. Here, I use the right word, engage, not consume.
Thundy will be proud.
They engage with in the in-universe medium, they grow stronger. 2, the creators, out of their love for the art they engage with, or the epic amalgam of influences Symphogear draws from, grow stronger. The viewers, out of their love for the art they engage with, Symphogear, grow stronger. And so that's why I say that Dr. Vare is so essential to understand what I love so much about the show. Because when he says, "It's love, my dear," he's not only giving the answer to the puzzle of the linker, although that will come later, but it's the answer the show ultimately gives as to what makes us us. That we love each other despite our flaws, and that we grow to love those flaws for what they are. It's the underlying motivation of every character, and them seeking connection in one way or another, whether they're doing good or bad. Yeah, whether they're doing good or bad. He's also literally stating what Symphogear as an entity stems from, as I've been saying. Symphogear exists as it is because of it. You can read basically any interview with people involved in the project to realize that "It's love, my dear" is just what everyone feels about Symphogear. Everyone making it. They're always stating how it's the most important part of their life is Symphogear. Yuki Aoi stating that it's by far the role that defines her career, or Nana literally investing her part of her life into Symphogear, hence the Nana wills it meme. But yeah.
So I think I missed this in terms of interpersonal drama that was going on at the time. But does Dr. Vare save Maria and her team at the end?
Yes.
Am I correct in catching that was the case?
I'll get to that.
Did I manage to become a hero?
Because I think the thing is that even with Dr. Vare being twisted, insane, crazy, whatever, right? He's still that father figure to those three.
Yes,
and
yes.
he's still something essential to who they become. Right.
This season makes it so clear, because I think last podcast still we had a little bit of a discussion. I was like, he's kind of like a force of nature, sort of irrelevant. But this season really made it clear to me what kind of the ideas are that drive Dr. Vare.
Listen, everyone misses that about Dr. Bear. Because
Well, I mean,
everyone
I
is
think-
completely... I mean, even in GX, most people
G-Cross.
miss it. I mean, sorry, Galaxy Cross.
yeah.
Listen, completely because... Well, they're distracted by just how over the top his persona is, right? Like whether
Well, I mean, I think-
whether
I
they
think-
like or hate that. And so... of course, we love that, right? It's fucking Sugita going nuts, but like he's by far the most fun villain to have on screen on a scene-to-scene
Yeah.
basis.
But I think also like even in G, like he is set up as this oppositional father figure to Genjiro, right? Whereas like Genjiro is this sort of open, compassionate sort of like, you know, he's sort of absent. He sort of lets the Symphogear characters grow on their own, and he just gives them like minimal guidance, right?
Yeah.
But Dr. Vare is this sort of controlling, over the top, crazy, sort of like obsessed with his ideals sort of father figure. You know, he really wants to be the goddamn hero.
In G, there's literally like Genjiro being like, well, I'll just let the kids do what they want, and then Dr. Ver literally controlling everything, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think
so. Of course,
well, when comparing G and Galaxy Cross, I think a really big point to make here is that G is all about the idea of heroes and what heroism actually means. And sort of,
Yes.
if we like think back to our last podcast, we kind of concluded that the series has a very tragic idea of heroes. That heroism as such isn't really possible. There's looking like individual heroism, but Dr. Vare is like really caught up in this individual heroism. But my point about Galaxy Cross is that sort of Galaxy Cross deals with a world of post-heroism, right? Like the idea of a hero, we kind of said goodbye to it in G, and now we're dealing with a world in which heroism isn't possible. This is also core to a lot of the arcs going on, especially for Hibiki.
To be...
But to just finish my point, because it's not just that heroism isn't easily possible anymore, which is one of Hibiki's arcs, but also that fathers, in a way, are the first hero we sort of grow past and realize isn't really a hero. Think about Hibiki and her relationship to her father. And that's such a big thing as well. But like Dr. Vare is really obsessed with the idea of heroism. By the end, what he wants to be is a hero, no matter what.
Listen. I
really
want to get into it myself.
Will, hold on. I'm trying to
really
fucking
hard
talk. I have
about
something
this
to
in the
say,
last
okay?
episode, Miki, I hate you.
This is a good podcast.
Fucking excellent. Okay, anyways, what I was going to say is that I don't think Symphogear posits that heroism is impossible. I think that what it's seeking to do is it's seeking to deconstruct, analyze, which happens in G, and reconstruct the idea of what a hero is, right? So as opposed to heroism coming from this sort of, you know, physical expression of I can resolve this issue with my fists, right? It transforms it into something emotional, into the courage to reach out to others, right? That we see with Hibiki this season, having to find the courage to you know, reconstruct the bonds with her father having to find the courage to reach out and apologize to her mother, despite his so-called pride as a man, right?
Yeah. I think in the G podcast, we also came to these conclusions, right? It's not that heroism is necessarily impossible, that it's not like an individualist thing, but like a rather collective thing of like together protecting something.
Well, it's about having the will to, you know, having the courage to you know, put aside your differences and come together to protect it, right?
Yes.
Then that is inherently an individual act, but the power doesn't come from the individualism. It comes from the collective aspects, right?
Which is how also like Dr. Vare failed in G, right? Because he wanted to basically be the hero who saves the world, but at the cost of the world, basically. At the cost of everyone else. Whereas like the gang tried to save the world completely, including almost all people, basically.
Whereas here in this season, he sacrifices himself so Maria, Kirika, Shirabe can join it. All right, well, it sounds like you really have something to say over there.
I was literally just gonna get to that. You guys are fucking impatient. Jesus Christ. Listen.
I'm sorry.
So of course, Dr. Vare, as I was saying, is extremely over the top. And of course, that's just what Symphogear does, right? It's Dr. Ver is just the stereotype of the fucking mad scientist, not the mad, like the over the top mad scientist or anti-hero trope. Other characters like, for example, you're gonna love this, Miki, Dr. Sao Tome from Get a Robo Armageddon, or Dr. Vulgar from Giant Robo. He's very much in the same vein here as a mad scientist who is misinterpreted, but he's just that taken to its logical extreme and over the top version.
But even the same thing, like if Dr. Vulgar reached out to the other side at literally any other point, save the very end, the entire conflict in Giant Robo could have been avoided.
Yes.
But yeah, the hero complex.
Right.
Also, can we talk about? Okay, sorry, Will, but this is so big. While we're on the idea of comparing heroism between G and Galaxy Cross, because remember, I think it's episode 2 or 3, where it's like, okay, the media framed what happened as like an act of heroism because a simple tale of heroism is easier to swallow. Where basically the media interpreted the events of G in an easier to swallow way than what actually went down.
Yes,
I think it's really noteworthy to see like how the show
True.
like immediately brings us on the tracks of heroism.
That's literally what happens to Mario at the start of this season, right? It's like, oh, we're just gonna make you our idol, like literally. You're just gonna be the symbol of like heroism of the girl that saved the world from Dr. Ver, the evil scientist guy. And yeah, that's very true, Nyan. Very true.
The thing is, like, even the mention of Dr. Ver is suppressed, right? He's thrown.
Yes, Dr. Ver has been silenced. He's been fucking censored.
Like the opposite of what he wanted. Well, I mean,
they call it the what do they call it? The Sleeping Dragon's Palace. It's like
the Undersea Dragon's Palace.
It's based on like an old Japanese folk tale that's very like Rip Van Winkle-esque. Right? Of like this guy who, Jesus.
Thing about Dr. Ver is he didn't care how he got famous, but he wanted the world to know him as a hero. But then he like gets removed from the media, and it's like the worst thing that could happen to him.
Yeah. All right. So listen. So, of course, some people would say that Dr. Ver being over the top is bad, but they're stupid. But even then, even if it was bad, he's still a great character. Even if he like wasn't fun to have on screen. Because here we go. Every villain in Symphogear, of course, is seeking some kind of connection or some kind of understanding. And what Dr. Ver's version of that, of course, is the linker. So Dr. Ver is the creator of the linker. Well, the creator, he knows the recipe. He knows how to make it. And of course, it's a drug that Kirika, Shirabe, and Mario use to boost their connection to their Symphogear, right? To fucking make them use the relics to sing and connect with others. And so, as Dr. Ver so very often and explicitly and proudly spells it out to everyone, the secret ingredient, of course, is love, right? He says it all the time. Not just in GX at the end, of course, but he literally says it like at least 10 times. And so, what can we make of that, of course? So I have two ideas. I mean, there's sort of one idea, but one of them is kind of stupid. And this is so the first one is that he really, of course, has some feelings of love for the girls, Maria, Kirika, and Shirabe, because he, of course, took care of raising them, right? As a fucking toxic father figure. And that's why he's back in fucking GX, right? The fucking father... the fucking daddy issue season, as I call it here. I'm sorry. I mean
perfect.
Galaxy Cross.
That's what you call Giant Robo daddy issues. The show.
Yeah. So so he's back because only he can make the linker. It's almost as if he doesn't want to let go of them because he is attached. But yeah, the more here's the real interpretation of Dr. Ver here and his entire character. So considering his insanity, but also considering his insanity, if he actually has never expressed any love for the girls, then I can only interpret his love as a love for himself, or rather, a love for the image he has constructed of himself as a hero. Yeah, as a hero of humanity. He loves that hero version of himself. He aspires to be. That's why his fucking admiration of Hibiki is absolutely genuine in the beginning of G, right? It's like, damn, it's the lunar attack hero. Like, he's actually like idolizing Hibiki in that scene. So in that case, the linker and the girls he's nurturing would at first only be tools to help him achieve his goals, his greater ambitions of becoming a hero. But both of which will later come bite him in the ass, of course. Probably as a first signifier to him that he's on the wrong track in G, because in G, he's so manipulative and controlling of everything, and everything serves his purpose of making himself the hero, right? And so in G, what I'm saying here is that in G, he's basically lost his reason, and evil sort of took over him. I mean, he's still fucking evil, but yeah. When he comes back in a Galaxy Cross, and he helps out Carol out of a common enemy of the Symphogear users, he then asks her, why is she doing what she's doing? And she can't answer. She can't answer because she burned the memories of her reason, right?
Yeah.
And like in that scene, she appears to him as like weak-willed, ambitionless, and like in that scene, he's like, well, you're just doing evil for evil. There's no reason that, and he hates that, of course. Like, to him, all his actions have always been in the greater, for the benefit of humanity, no matter how twisted his version of that was.
For the idea that he would be the benefactor of humanity.
Yes,
yeah.
the idea that he would save humanity.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end of the
But
day.
it's still like an idea to have like a raison d'être other than destroying everything. Yeah, that's a really good point. And how he also turns into a father figure against this complete nihilism, right?
Yeah, and I think at that moment he looks at Carol and sort of like sees himself in like as he was in G. He like, and so that's why he ultimately has a redemption here, because he regains sight of his dream of being a hero, but this time he's not blinded by egocentrism and evil. And so he helps Maria, Kirika, and Shirabe destroy the Chateau de Tifauge, and saves the world in the process.
What does that mean, by the way, Mr. French?
Chateau de Tifauge, it was just
Bluebeard's castle.
Bluebeard's castle, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Where he tortured people and dissected people, yeah.
Tifauge means Bluebeard?
No. Chateau de Tifauge was the castle of Bluebeard, Gilles de Rais, who I mean, I'm not entirely sure. I think when I looked this up to Fate, it was possibly accurate, but also possibly.
I mean, he was a vampire lord, basically.
Yeah. So he's basically like this vampire figure preying on the local youths of the community, dissecting them, etc., etc., etc.
Damn.
He was torturing the peasants, basically.
I think from what I saw, I might be wrong, and somebody please correct me in the comments. Maybe I'll correct myself when I look this up. But it also could have been just as a way to like get back at him for his support of Jeanne d'Arc.
Okay.
Yeah. Fuck Fate.
Well, I mean, Fate is why
he's a real historical figure.
Yeah. Fate is why I looked into who the fuck Gilles de Rais is.
Yeah.
So.
Well, whatever. At least he's in the best part of Fate. Okay. So
it's not Carnival Phantasm, but whatever.
We'll not get into it. So
let's not fucking talk about Fate.
When he saves Maria and gang, and in his final moments, he looks relieved, right? Because only himself will have to be sacrificed here. He's relieved that his girls are alive, basically, and because he would not have been in peace knowing that he was not able. Like that he would have saved the world, but not basically his daughters, right?
What a cutie.
So he's like genuinely glad to have finally done it. Like he's proud of himself. But he still needs one last thing. And so he asks Maria. He asks Maria in particular, was I able to become a hero? And then so become a hero, meaning like become. Meaning full well that he now realizes that his past actions in G were not heroic in the slightest, and so he asks for her acceptance because she's the last person on Earth who would give it to him, right? Because he fucking destroyed her life.
Yeah, and she says.
Well, I mean, he also passes down the fucking dying words that every father needed to have passed down, right? In this entire season.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so Maria says that he's a hero for the first time. And of course, that means more to him. Like infinitely
the worst
more.
Hero ever or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, she says, yes, the worst hero ever, but he was but a passing hero. The worst one, but the best villain of all time.
What I find is interesting is, like, what you say makes total sense, but also he's so over the top that we kind of have to admire how all his characterization is kind of really low-key.
Yes. Yeah. It's so like all the actual things about who Dr. Ver is are so subtle in contrast to Sugida's ridiculous fucking performance.
Yeah.
Like
it's wild.
Like it is look, I've listened to like a bunch of Sugida's like okay, so Sugida does like an anime does like a radio show. He does a fucking podcast and he has for fucking years. It is so in line with Sugida's like over the top bullshit on every fucking appearance he makes on everyone else's radio, on everyone. Like he'll fucking show up dressed as Warsman and talk like Warsman for fucking minutes. Warsman, by the way, is a villain from Kinnikuman.
Praise Sugita.
Yeah.
Praise.
But like he is he a villain? I don't know if he's actually a villain. Whatever. Somebody who actually knows about Kinnikuman talked to me about this. But
who knows about Kinnikuman?
Somebody does, okay? It's super popular in Japan. Somebody has to. It's super popular in Japan. But like he will show up and he will act as it for moments. He will do like ridiculous I mean, I don't want to say it's like sexual harassment, but like he'll run on for some jokes with some very sexual undertones for a very long time, despite the discomfort of literally everyone he's interacting with.
I know, I've seen Gintama.
Sort of like in how Dr. Ver is extremely uncomfortable with everyone he's interacting with.
Yeah,
Carol is immediately like, who the fuck is this guy?
But he's also like at his very core, he is a very like caring person. He's like the embodiment of big dick otaku energy. Like it's all like the role of Dr. Ver is so fucking perfect for Sugita. Like,
yes,
this is a role literally written for the man. There is nobody who could carry it as hard as he could. Cause like he both has like the insane rants that like, that like Kamiya, Hiroshi Kamiya could pull off. For anybody who doesn't know, that's Aragi. I've been bugged at this by Wada for just naming voice actors and not like explaining what roles they have. So I'll
everybody
I'll
should know
give a
Kamiya.
role.
That's the one
Yeah.
that everybody should know. He's
Yeah,
fucking
yeah, no,
amazing.
I agree. His voice is so fucking obviously recognizable.
Yep.
Because he has a bit of an accent. But like he has that like ranting ability, but at the same time he just has like he has the biggest dick otaku energy. There's nobody who has big dick otaku energy like Sugita does.
Very true.
It
Very
is
true.
true.
All right. I've done my Dr. Ver segment.
Okay, I have the next one we can jump into. Okay, let's do it. What I found interesting is what the auto scorers actually do for most of the early parts of the season, because what we have is like a pattern of them attacking somewhere, trying to bait the others into fighting, and just fucking off if they're not gonna get their fight. And I
Yep.
found that really funny because like their whole motivation is really unclear to us at first, because they're just coming to stir trouble, fuck around, and then go if it doesn't satisfy them.
Well, I mean, their goal. Okay,
Yeah, I
I'm
know
gonna
their
get
goal,
into
but it was
this.
just
Their goal is to do alchemy with the art, right? They are like this critical force in the face of like the Symphogear otaku art sort of schemata, right?
They want
So-
the Symphogear users to sing for them.
They want the
so-
Symphogear
yeah,
users
break
to sing for
their
them so
song.
they can sing, deconstruct, analyze, and reconstruct the
Yeah,
otaku
exactly.
energy into a destructive force at the end.
Exactly. So the
to
first thing we have that they do
auto-score
is
the
they
music.
disintegrate the gears. And in my reading, sort of this disintegrating of the gears, so when they were like hit by alchemy, it's like the first idea of alchemy we discussed, right? Predetermination. That radical determinism undoes creation. Because what is creation? I think creation is something where we emerge with more meaning from something that was like, I don't know, like I put together a couple of music notes. I get more than just an arrangement of music notes out of it. I get a meaningful song that evokes emotion, memories, feelings, nostalgia. You know, that is what creation is. I think the radical determinism of alchemy, what disintegrates the gears, is like trying to show them the futility of their miracle of creation. That is what I symbolically read of those first attacks. But then they change strategy, right? Like we understand that then or rather, this was the plan all along, but like the Ignite modules get installed, and that is what they wanted. They want their memories of the cruel world and use that to reinforce their own destructive power.
Yep.
Sorry.
The
Can we hold on to this
melody.
for a minute?
Yes.
I need to go to the bathroom real quick.
Oh, that's what you mean.
I'm sorry, guys.
Very
I will
clean.
be right back. I'm very sorry.
Are we pausing or are we going on?
I kind of want to be here for it because I want to be able to react because I do have some takes on this specific point.
Okay,
But I really
Miki,
need to go pee
editing.
right now.
Editing.
I know, editing, right?
Go pee.
All right.
Pee. Or do like E-dubs and pee in a bottle.
I'll grab a new drink of water then.
Yeah, same.
Hey.
Sorry about that.
All right. Want to get right back into it?
Yeah. I have recollected myself.
Okay. So what I just said was about the triggering of painful memories to turn them into fuel for destruction. That the auto scorers had this kind of surprising goal to them where basically, you know what? Basically, let's break it down. They are a very much narrative device to literally physically go there and trigger our characters to have arcs. Like that's what
Yes.
they do.
Yeah, no.
Yep.
They are literally there to like, so if we understand alchemy, right, as this process of analysis, deconstruction, analysis, reconstruction, right, that like alchemy is, right. So they are there initially to trigger the first step for all of our characters, right, to force them to start like
To ignite
breaking
them.
apart. Yes, to ignite them, to start them breaking apart their like stable narratives of who they are. Right?
Yep.
We see this with Maria, we see this with Chris, we see this with Kirika and Shirabe.
And Hibiki, of course.
Of course, yes.
Everyone, just everyone.
I think with Hibiki, that's also a good point to go, because I feel like a lot of people, and maybe we should mention this, a lot of people have a couple of issues with the writing of GX, and I think that's because of like a big production history thing that Will should probably explain.
Yeah. I'll get into it. You want me to explain this now?
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but like,
Okay.
frankly, second time through, I didn't feel it at all.
I also didn't feel it. Also, second and third time through, because I rewatched it twice with Will for this, because you kept postponing us.
Okay. So yeah, GX. So what happened with GX here is that they got greenlit for it. Sorry, not GX. Galaxy Cross. Okay.
Galaxy Cross.
So they got greenlit for it after big success, a big live show. They announced GX. Woo, big moment, right? Yeah, more Symphogear. Hype shit. It was supposed to be, well, not supposed, but Kaneko just assumed it was going to be his last season because it's the fucking 2010s, right? No anime gets more than 2 seasons, let alone 3. What the fuck is going on there? And so
there's only a few of them.
Yeah, so he gets his fucking 3rd season and goes, all right, let's just make it like it's the final one. And so he does. But midway through production, they get greenlit for 2 more seasons.
Isn't it like around episode 6 or 7 when not Maria, Carol has her big fight?
I don't know, honestly.
Well, okay, because that's around the first time through where I felt the break.
I mean,
I felt the break way earlier, because I think episode 3 or 4 when Hibiki suddenly stops wanting to fight, and we haven't really narratively perfectly led into why.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're both exactly.
Okay. Frankly, I'm going to say this right. Hold on while I give the fucking caveat, and then we can go back to you, Will. But like, essentially, what we're saying is this is what we felt the first time through.
Yeah.
All right, Will. Okay, back to you. Give us the history.
I don't know exactly when it happens in the production, but what matters is it influences, of course, the script of the season, because it was at first meant to be a last one. And now it's a middle one. It's the middle part. And so now Kaneko can do all of his ideas. And so GX sort of becomes an introduction to this like the second half of Symphogear with the alchemy and all of that. And then
which is called wild, as a season is already being made and written. Like, you're immediately like, wait, 2 more seasons? Okay.
Right, and so what happens is some episodes are, I mean, they're not badly written. They just feel sort of rushed, as in they sort of take some very clear shortcuts. It's just like, literally one episode is going to be this character's arc, and everything will just be set out right to your face, right? It's just episode 7, Mario episode 8, Kirkan Shirabe episode 9, Tsubasa episode, and it's like very structured that way, and it's always like one auto scorer shows up, and this character has its arc related to that auto scorer,
But I think in hindsight, having at least having a general idea of where Symphogear is going, and like having this chance to like recapture what Symphogear was in the first place, it does not feel anywhere near as like out of touch with the rest of the series as it did the first time.
Not at all, because he just knows what he wants to do, right? And so. But the thing is, it's not just production issues on the script side. It's also production issues on, sadly, well, the production side, the animation. I think, me and Yar noticed it very well, but the climax in GX does look amazing. It does look cool a lot of the times, but also it's kind of like underwhelming. A lot of the character art and faces are off model and weirdly proportionate. I mean, it still looks fucking great compared to any seasonal anime in the year 2015.
Yeah, but it just doesn't quite match up to the quality of those first few episodes, right?
Yeah. If GX was on the quality of the first 2 episodes all the way through, I would say it looks better than G. But just because G is more consistent, even though its peaks are less high than GX, I would say that G looks better here.
Yeah.
Good thing though that Axis and Xeve do not have those problems whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, that's the point where you just kind of, where Symphogear just kind of throws his dick around as being like, yeah, we got the best shit. What's up?
Yeah, we got 2 seasons
What's
at
up,
once.
seasonal anime?
How come your dad lets you have 2 seasons?
I mean, it used to be a thing that they let you do. I mean, just look at Utena and Penguin Drum. They just gave that shit seasons, dude. They gave Utena 3 cores.
Yeah. It used to be more common, that's true. It's kind of unfortunate that it isn't like that anymore, but I guess Symphogear is one of the few where we actually have, God bless, more than fucking just 1 season, then we forget it forever.
Well, the creator got to realize his vision.
I think the thing is you have to have the biggest autorial dick to throw around to get multiple seasons.
Yeah.
Which
right?
is still surprising that they got that kind of
for
credit.
sure. Like they don't
Fucking
have
insane.
like Kaneko does not have the credentials of like a Shinbo or a fucking Ikuhara or whoever.
Yeah, but Kaneko doing this work mixed with Nana Mizuki and Aoyuki and Yoko Hikasa and Noriyasu Agematsu, who's like the main composer for Element's Garden, and like
that's true. That's true. I guess when you have all those voice actors, you gotta do whatever you want, like Durarara.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. The voice actors pull a lot of weight here too. They're all fucking great.
Yeah, and so that's one thing that is admirable about Symphogear, and also that we are quite glad for. It's almost like a miracle.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Symphogear got 5 seasons in the past decade, and it was absolutely fucking bonkers, as British people would say.
Do British people say bonkers?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure American people say bonkers too.
Okay. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Words.
Just gonna point that out real quick.
Don't let the British have bonkers.
Will, your French Canadian is showing real quick. Better put that away.
Why would I do that? I mean, I need to be proud of my accent and my way of talking. Okay. Listen.
All right. Look.
Listen,
I'm just saying there is nothing British about saying bonkers.
And I'm just saying, when you said "It's love, my dear," you sounded like J.F. Gariepi talking about his underage girlfriend. Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. So what were you talking about?
Jesus Christ! I wish I could end the episode on that. How do we top that? How do we top that in this episode?
I don't know. But we were at talking, I think, about the individual character arcs and Hibiki and how she loses her powers, and that brought me to ask you about the production. And the reason I asked that is because you remember my first time watching this, where I was like, I don't know why she doesn't fight anymore. It's like she tries to sing, it's like nothing comes out.
I remember you gave the first season a 4.
Oh God, let's not talk about it. That changed. Like, we had my redemption arc about that a long time ago. The first episode of this podcast where I suddenly like and love the first season.
Yeet. But you never not liked GX. Actually, I do remember when you and Conrad watched it. I was I was like sort of like easing you into it because I was like really worried because
Like
of course
Will
it's my
was
favorite
preparing
anime
us.
and I wanted you to love it, and so I was like, oh, listen guys, GX is like a divisive season among fans. Okay, there's some production issues here and there, and so and you guys
Yeah, I
start
don't
the
know.
season and you're like, this is fucking awesome, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was
pri-
pogging from season 1 because I am the personification of big dick otaku energy in the English scene. I'm just gonna
But
put
you have
that
to
out there.
understand, Miki, that it was Nyard and Comrade watching it, not you.
I mean, Comrade's fucking Comrade.
Lovely.
Lovely.
Comrade's a lovely human being. All right, we'll leave
Very
it at that.
true.
He's got
So the
some
reason
issues to
Hibiki
work.
can't fight, I want to get into this because I needed to understand, just like Hibiki did, the difference Galaxy Cross makes between fighting and helping people. Because Hibiki insists Gungnir is for helping people, not for fighting. Okay, what is the difference, and how does Hibiki learn that sometimes it is not just about helping others, but also about fighting? And that's
Yes.
kind of like crucial to her arc. And kind of what I arrived at is that helping others is passive because you see someone in need, you react to it, you help. Whereas fighting is active. You need to decide on a cause worth fighting for and even aggressing on that cause.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, it's about asserting your values against the world, right?
yeah. What
As
gets her
as
out of
opposed
that-
to like simply, seeing a person in need and being like, what can I do about this?
yeah.
Exactly.
it's-
Maria is
it's
like,
exactly-
don't avert your eyes from your power. That line stuck with me.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, true. But it's what fucking breaks her out of that stupor of her not being able to sing is Miku, like reminding her basically that, well, I fought you, you saved me. What's up with that? Like
What's up with that?
we fought each other, and yet
It's love, my dear.
we saved each other. Like sometimes fighting and helping are one and the same.
Yeah, and sometimes you fight first and then help comes from that rather than,
Yep.
not fighting and always being afraid of hurting someone in the process.
Which is great
Yeah.
because afterwards in Axis, Hibiki does not fucking fuck around with anyone. Like she doesn't take anyone's shit. The fucking villains are gonna show up and like state their motivation, and she will just go, well, what you're saying does not make any fucking sense, and then shuts them down and like
Punches
forces
them in
yeah.
the fucking
explain.
face.
It's about fighting being an expression of love as opposed to being,
Yeah,
But here we also get to interpretation, right? Because what we just did is contrast fighting and helping each other, helping others. We contrasted that, we interpreted those terms, and we realized that we can interpret fighting as helping the other. So we have the same again, like they're stuck up on words. There's like, this is not meant for fighting, this is for helping others. Well, what if fighting is helping others? Like, ever thought about that? Yeah, fuck, that makes sense. Interpretation. That is how we
Yes.
again tie into all of these themes of communication that Symphogear always has going on. It is always interpretation. It's always malleable and flexible, and meaning is never finite.
Well, I mean, because the thing that Hibiki is shocked by in the first place is Carol, fighting as an expression of pain, right? That is what ultimately shocks Hibiki out of being able to sing.
God, that's so true, because always like Hibiki reaches out to hold hands, to understand why others are fighting, and to communicate about this. But what can you tell Carol when she's just in pain and just wants to see the world burn because her injustice is not something we can talk about? We cannot like communicate to each other and like solve some misunderstanding and come together. No,
well,
her
even
father
more than
is
that.
dead.
Even more than that, it's that good actions killed her father, like literally. A miracle brought her father's death.
Exactly. So one of the core themes, we haven't even mentioned the word, it is forgiving. So
Yep.
when
Yeah, I mean, that's
Hibiki
the
fights
answer.
and
That's
hurts someone,
We've skirted around the edges all over it here.
when Hibiki fights and hurts someone, what she needs to learn is forgive herself. The other person has to forgive her somehow, like because it was meant into some in some bigger interest. But you also need to forgive the world. Forgive the world in its ignorance, despite whatever it does to you, and it will do plenty. And And that's kind of like what we do all over the place, right? Like, Carol also has to accept her father's death, forgive the world, and see that despite the world killing this miracle, there is like good shit in the world, and we can transcend by forgiving this world. We can forgive Dr. Ware for being such a horrible fucker, and we need to forgive him because then he has a chance to really become a hero. We need to forgive so many things, and this is kind of how we go on. Like, Dr. Ware's heroism is a tragedy, but we can forgive him. The world is cruel, but we can forgive the world and not hate it. Our
I
fathers
think
might be fuck-ups, but we can forgive them. We can live past them.
I think the
Fucking
most
Shaggy.
important thing about this season of Symphogear in relation to Giant Robo is that this season ultimately focuses on that forgiveness, right?
Yeah.
Which is something that Giant Robo doesn't do, and that's why Giant Robo ends in massive amounts of tragedy, right? Ginray dies, or Ginray or Farnell, or there's two different names that both of them
The
go
girl.
by.
Ginray.
Ginray is the name. Ginray is the name she's commonly known by, but her name given to her by her father is Farnell. In the same way that Genya is also known as Emmanuel by his father. A name that is somewhat potent with Christian symbolism, but we'll not go into that one.
to just hammer a little bit more into the forgiving. I like how it is like central to more things than just this. So, for example, from season 1 onwards, we had the idea of conflict and growth. Let our weakness be our strength, because we are courageous as we stand true to it. I think this is like lyrics Maria sings after she had her arc. Let our weakness be our strength.
Yes.
We've learned, we've been hurt, we've had flaws. We can make these weaknesses, we can forgive the world, we can grow past these, we can grow stronger from it, because our weakness is what makes us strong. So we forgive the world, accept thus the weaknesses. And this ties into like what alchemy ultimately turns out by the end when we have the full synthesis. It is to not just to understand the world and all its creation, but all parts of it. The solution is by forgiveness, we can forgive the world and the ignorance it has, and we can accept all the flaws as part of the world and not let them alone determine you, but learn from everything the world has.
Yeah, we can reconstruct it all in this image of love, right?
Yeah.
Very true. Very true.
Which is very important, like not only to understanding what Vare becomes in this season. I think Vare specifically.
And I think that's also so powerful. Oh, sorry, you can go on.
But also Hibiki and her father, and also, Carol and her relationship to her father, right? Is that these things need to be reconstructed into this image of love.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's such a good point, because, I realize, because when we talked about fathers, I was like, yeah, psychoanalytic theory, the fathers symbolize the order of the world. But I need to stress, in Symphogear, we kind of challenged that idea, right? The idea that the father left behind is also extremely destabilized. So what is more important is forgiving the father, or rather the world that killed the father in Carol's case, but like forgiving the father. So we kind of subvert the father, because what we need to learn is see that our fathers haven't been heroes, haven't been perfect, or couldn't like live a perfect life, but instead that we need to grow, and that the loss, what they left missing, what they couldn't accomplish, is something we can learn from.
Literally
as well
all
by
of them
forgiving
do that. Literally all of them do that. So Hibiki forgives her father.
Yes.
Tsubasa forgives her for because she realizes that he's sort of been protecting her heart all this time. Maria, Kirika, and Shirabe forgive Dr. Vare.
And it doesn't say that fathers are like some magical property in the universe that makes things right. Absolutely not. Instead, fathers are shown as they are just human. They will, in some way, fail. And that is always the case. Pain is part of this world. Failure is part of this world. Some fathers are not the magical, harmonious order of the world. But the idea of a father is. And to forgive that the father could not be that is the important step here.
Mm-hmm.
To forgive that the world is flawed is the same as forgiving your father.
It's also what you said before. It was like forgiving is forgiving yourself also, as we see in Maria's arc. Is like, well, I was weak and I want to be stronger. How do I become stronger? By forgiving my weak self. It's like, well, that was just who I am. And so
Well, I mean, yeah. It's also forgiving the the failed perception of yourself, as we see with Tsubasa and her conception of herself as a sword, as we see with Chris and like her perception of
that she needs to protect her kohai.
That's what I really love about Symphogear, because it's really engaged in letting you get deep insights into how these characters make sense of the world by the narratives they give themselves, by the stories they believe in, by the mythologies they've bought into, by all these devices by which they try to make meaning of the world, which is also a big reason why it reminds me of Utena, because Utena is so central about what does like the prince mean and the raison d'etre we pull from these stories and our roles.
Well, I mean, the thing is that like it's not just about what the prince means in Utena, right? It's about Because if it's just about what the prince means in Utena only needs to be 13 episodes.
Oh yeah, there's more.
And I will stick to this conception. But with Utena, it is about what these narratives of the prince means to each individual character and how they transcend and reconcile those conceptions of the prince with their own lived experience with the world that they actually live in.
And we have a glimpse of that here, which is so wonderful, which is why I immediately fell deeply into love with James when I watched it. I immediately realized it's my favorite so far.
G-Cross.
G-Cross, Galaxy Cross.
That's what Symphogear always does, basically. It always poses a problem, and then you see how all of the characters interact with that problem, how all of them see it. And it's always according to who they are, and it's absolutely great. And
it is
fucking
very Utena in that sense. And I think
this season
the
turns
homages
up
and
the season turns up the Utena factor also again with that, just by having the dolls like sort of dance and do some fencing.
And phrases like the apocalypse of all creation. I
couldn't
help but think of Utena.
Yeah, the fucking end of the world.
And then next season, Saint Germain will come in and like, let's do a fucking revolution.
And we have the fucking red car, I think also an Axis.
Exiv.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, in Exiv, there's also literally the reference, like they're on the highway, they're fighting on the highway, and they get on the fucking hood of a car, and you see the driver for a second, and he's like, "Take me to the ends of the world."
Yes.
I mean, if we are shit. Wait, where was I going? I had an Utena meme. Primed. No.
Quick, you gotta deliver. You got a reputation to lose.
I think I've already lost it. I've gone against one of the sacred cows of Njardcord.
Also, Black Rose Arc is kind of like just the Ignite module.
Yeah, very much, sort of
Ignite
prodded
module.
at by the Ignite module.
That's the connection I haven't made yet, but yeah, that's good.
Yeah, no,
See,
very
the
much.
reason why I connected that is because I always connected the Ignite module with characters in Madoka turning into witches. And then when I was watching Utena, you were like, listen, Will, there's gonna be witches in Utena, okay? Pay attention. I was like, all right. And then I just jumped the gun on the fucking Black Rose arc. I was like, oh, this is what he meant by the witches. But then of course there's like other witches stuff afterwards. This is like completely different. And I'm like, okay, well, the Black Rose is kind of like Madoka, and this other witch stuff is different. But
true.
If Black Rose is like Madoka, then Black Rose is like Symphogear.
Well, I mean, Black Rose is very much like reaching that absolute like lowest point in your spiritual arc, right? So it's about like
descending into
as I mentioned earlier, this kind of like spiritual putrefaction. And Njard, you watched Onisama A recently, right?
Yes.
It's very much like the elevator. What's her name? Main character. Nanako descends down to view the corpse of Rei.
Yeah, and by the way, in the Black Rose arc,
there's so much Utena symbolism that just comes straight from Onisama. It's not funny.
Listen,
it's
in the
really
Black Rose arc, they go get the fucking memories of those fucking corpses, and then guess what? They fucking burn the corpses. It's literally just like what everything is happening in Symphogear.
Yep.
It's all there.
There's
great.
A lot of parallels. Okay, I want to talk about the weird shit with Tsubasa's family because
yes, Tsubasa is an incest baby.
Yeah, incest baby. big old dick grandpa fucked her mother.
Yeah. So her grandpa, as we will see in the next 2 seasons, is a fascist, Japan imperialist.
And not even subtle, like cooperating with Ahnenerbe from Germany, which is like Ahnenerbe, if you know, is like the term. I think it was like an occult society, actually, like
it
Hitler.
is the
and all of
Nazi
that shit.
occult society run by Hermann Göring.
Göring, maybe Himmler.
Heinrich Himmler.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, so her father is a fascist, and to conserve the purity of his bloodline, or to make sure that his descendant is going to be good, he fucked his son's wife, and that was Tsubasa. So Tsubasa's dad, her legal dad, is just her mother's husband, but it's not her biological dad. Her biological dad is her grandpa, her legal grandpa.
Well, I think we already
fucked.
see the difference between that sort of fatherly role. Like, I mean, the difference between the father as like the representation of the symbolic order, as opposed to like the biological father already here and in G Cross and in Symphogear G, right?
But also, this is such
with
a middle
Dr.
finger to
Ver
fascism.
and Genjiro.
This is such a middle finger to fascism, because like her like old grandfather dude is like, we think, and this is what I meant earlier with subversion of fathers, right? Like, we think we have this mythological idea of fathers as the first heroes, and like her grandfather certainly is like a huge guy who's like, yeah, I want my pure genes to give and put into this girl who will be turned into a weapon. And that's like the false father, if we want to put it, because the real father, the one who raised her and loves her, is the one who kept her room like it was, with all the idle shit, and protected her dream. So we have two different fathers. We have like this overly Germanic, Nazi, fascist, rigorous, masculine father who wants to protect the legacy and fashions her into a weapon, and the real one, the actual father that listens to his daughter and wants her dream to come to fruition. And that's such a beautiful little distinction, and which is such a big middle finger to this whole attitude behind like the
dream,
Tsubasa family grandfather.
The dream, of course, is to sing to the entire world and not to be a sword. Hence why Tsubasa's here is not a sword, but wings. And the sword breaker will never clip her wings.
Oh yeah, that's also so beautiful. And I just love the subtlety here, because of course our resident fascist Howard missed this completely and was like, I was told this was against Nazis.
It's not even subtle.
It's not even subtle. It's like, this is the false father. This is the false idea of a father you have. Here's the real father, the one that protected the idle dream of connecting people and, you know, love and listening to the daughter's own desires in a way.
Her dad literally comes in the courtyard and goes, listen, Tsubasa, just follow your dream. It's not over, okay? And she's like, damn, bro.
Yeah, I mean, we saw this. I mean, if we're actually gonna bring up Howard, because fuck Howard, he's a fucking idiot. We even saw this with Howard's like interpretation of Utena, right? Because he views Anthe as like this tool through which you reach the prince, right?
Yep. Oh my god! From the first minute on,
he literally inflicts the exact same oppression and fascism upon Himemiya as is inflicted by the story, and as is like the entire point of Utena to resist.
That would have been amazing arc, like Howard who wants to like challenge Utena to a duel, and Utena just fucking obliterates his ass. That would have been good.
Listen,
that's what we fucking need.
Remember when we were fucking confused at Howard saying Symphogear's based, and so we're like, this makes no fucking sense at all. Why? How? And then he watches it, and despite Symphogear being so fucking anti-fascism, like unabashedly rejecting the idea and telling it to fuck off,
Howard communism.
Howard it's like fucking stuck in his vision of the world, and he's so fucking influenced by the curse of fucking Balal that he just warps everything to his own vision. It's incredible.
Well, he's so stuck in his essentialist views that like these these works that explicitly challenge essentialism, all of that challenge goes over his fucking head. And it's fucking ridiculous. It all goes over his head. He fucking like construes Utena in terms of like pure good masculinity versus toxic masculinity. When like the entire thing of Utena is that you have to transcend that duality of femininity and masculinity. You have to, in order to like understand where any of these characters are coming from and where all of their like mental issues come from. He's like, well, there's just like no proper masculine role model in Utena. And I'm like, no, you're a fucking idiot. There can be no masculine role model because it's fucking poisonous.
Oh my god!
Damn it!
I love this. This is good. This is a good rant. This is a good rant. But Howard is gonna get an ego boost from listening to this.
Very clean. Howard, where's your fucking game?
Make that game, buddy.
Every podcast from now on, Howard. I'm sorry. But yeah. So he kind of interprets it in the wrong way.
Well, I mean, because he has... Okay. And, like, this is a thing that is I want to say, very directly challenged by both Symphogear and Utena. Is like this basic fucking idea of there is this way mediated by society or mediated by like values in which you are supposed to act, right?
Yeah. Because
that always gets in the way of understanding with and connecting with other people. It always gets in the way. And very like true. That is like the very direct challenge that both of these series pose and that they are trying to overcome. They're trying to transcend.
Just to give an example real quick. Well, we were talking about Tsubasa seeing herself as a sword. And then we see in her Ignite module flashback, right? She sees Kanade and goes to hug her. And it's like, oh, no, wait. A sword cannot hold anyone. And Kanade just falls in pieces. It's just literally her image of herself getting in the way, and you know, literally also Farah, which is the autoscorer which fights against Tsubasa, is equipped with the sword breaker.
I'll apologize to Nyard if I'm misunderstanding, if I say something that like goes against like actual Lacan theory or actual psychoanalytic theory, but like a lot of it is about transcending the symbolic order itself, right? Is that there is this way mediated by your prior relations to society, your prior relations to your father, specifically in G Cross, that Deluxe. Like needs to be overcome, that needs to be transcended, that needs to be something that you move beyond to find a more like
that process.
I don't want to say pure, but like a more authentic way of experiencing and interacting with the world around you.
Yeah. So in psychoanalysis, the kind of process by which you utilize past like trauma experiences or whatever and make somewhat like turn them into energy, let's just say broadly, is called like sublimation, because you retain a part, you work with that, you improve from that, you transform the conflict, the anger, the hatred, the trauma into something productive. Often it is like, I don't know, I'm angry, so I'm doing sports. I've sublimated my anger into using that for something, right? And in Lacan, as you said, it is actually about transgressing the symbolic. It is about coming up with your own ways of sublimation very often. He coined a term called symptom, which is distinct from symptom. Because instead of a symptom, which we think points at an illness, he says there's a symptom, which points not at an illness, but at a functioning coping mechanism, where you have a quirky behavior, which you have specifically developed because it helps you better interact with the world in a more meaningful way. And everyone can have unique symptoms. And that's kind of like also in that same idea, which I really like. So many left-leaning philosophers have picked up on Lacan as like a way of making ethical and political questions out of these kinds of ideas of transgressing the symbolic order in the world and learning and improving from the sorts of conflicts and individual ways of dealing with that.
Based.
Hog.
You are right on the money, Miki.
I was sure I would be.
But yeah, every character goes through those the same. They go through the same things. It's just always according to who they are, and so that's what's so fucking pog about this. It's even though the arcs are always like slight different, it always just loops back around to the same thing, and those huge thematic through lines of each respective season. So if we for Galaxy Cross, for example, memories and fathers and all of that good stuff, all forgiveness, all of those things then come to tie into the overall Symphogear thesis of understanding and connection.
To put this into Utena terms, everybody's rose transforms into a white rose by the end.
I'm not sure what you mean.
We'll just get a blue
look, if people if people know Utena like I do, they'll understand that, which means like maybe one person will understand that.
That's kind of like saying
I vaguely got it, but I really need to watch it again and follow the rose and the color symbolism a lot more. But I vaguely get exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I vaguely get it exactly.
Okay. Well,
essentially, there's this purifying force of trying to understand and put your faith in others that ultimately results in you being able to overcome your own symptoms, so to speak.
Right. Okay.
Or rather, like the negative aspects of your symptoms.
Okay. So listen, I really like Miki when you said that singing or music in Symphogear is the art, while alchemy is the criticism and the analysis, science. Right? It's fucking because basically what's going on here is that currently it's
pretty explicit in terms of like when you set them up as opposite forces, and you mentioned that like they don't specifically use the word deconstruction, but like they may as well have fucking
they use the word they
use reconstruction, right? They use dissect they use dissection. Sorry?
Shatter.
Well, there's a different word you use in your translation.
I don't know. Maybe I don't.
I think dissect came up. Yeah,
dissect makes sense.
Yeah, I know dissection came up, but I don't know if that's the word. But it's
severing,
something, dissection, deconstruction, something like that. Analysis and reconstruction. They specifically use reconstruction as terms,
which is basically what we are currently doing with Symphogear itself, right?
All interpretation is that, right? We take the frog, we kill the frog, we dissect the frog, and then we know how a frog works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's alchemy.
We reconstruct we analyze the elements we see when when we dissect it, and then we reconstruct like these individual pieces into the overall unit we call the frog, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so that's alchemy, and I mean this is gonna get very important by the end, but that's alchemy, and just us pogging about Symphogear, like without necessarily explaining anything, or just being
20
like
minutes of this podcast.
Just being like, dude, look at this fucking punch or some shit, right? Glorious break, and then she fucking stops, literally perfect. But that's the singing part.
Yeah,
makes sense to me.
Yep. By the way, I mentioned glorious break. The fucking genius move of once again having Hibiki stop the punch right in front of Carol's face, right? It's the fucking throwback to Fine at the end where she just bumps her on the fucking booba.
Well, I mean, on top of that, it's like at the end of Giant Robo when fucking Giant Robo finally crushes through the giant sphere, and Daisaku stops and looks down and like legitimately connects with Genya right there at the end, right? It's very much in that vein.
Yep.
You have this moment of like of breaking through the outer shell, of breaking through the narratives, and just coming to this very genuine connection with this other figure opposed to you.
Yeah, and then, god damn it, the ending is so fucking, there's so many pogging moments. Fucking Hibiki saving Carol. It's like Carol's dad and Elf9's ghost flying along. It's so fucking good. Holy
Oh yeah,
shit.
that's still pretty fucking big because
Yeah.
what we have is a moment where by the end of it we're like, okay, Carol gone, Elf9 gonna die, and then we're all like sad around her deathbed and like, oh shit, Elf9's gonna go, Elf9's gonna fade away. She's become friends with all of us. We've hung out, we've had all the Nichijou scenes with her, and now she's gonna go. What happens is Carol, recollecting some information, comes around at night, goes to the hospital bed and says, well, you know what? You can have it. I don't need it.
Well, I think that's the most magical thing of this season of G Cross is that it takes something like Giant Robo, which frankly I'm going to say is an absolute tragedy at the end of it, right? And it transforms it. It takes it fucking does its fucking Symphogear alchemy on it, and it takes it and it transforms this moment at the end where like Genya, his memories of his father are absolutely broken down. His sister Ginrei is dead and fading away, specifically fading away the words that Elf9 uses. Like she's literally disappearing because she's used her teleportation powers too much. But like it takes that and it transforms it in this moment where like Genya is actually able to like perform this great in the personification of Carol here, is able to transform this like great tragic moment of like, fuck, I've fucked everything up. There's nothing more I can do. I guess I've at least managed to actually fulfill my father's legacy and I can pass on. It transforms into this moment where he's actually able to sacrifice himself to give Ginrei another chance, or in this case, Carol is able to sacrifice herself to give Elf9 another chance to connect with the people around her.
And what the beauty of that is that this required Carol to have forgiven the world so she could create a miracle. And this is how we neatly tie it all together. That
Yes,
Elf9 can survive is a miracle, and it happened through forgiveness. Because a miracle, we learned through Symphogear, is not actually magic. It is not like God bestowing onto the earth like actual magic. It is simply the multitude of possibilities that aren't written yet. That is the ability to change hearts, to change minds, to forgive the world.
the ability to sincerely connect with another human being. If we're gonna stay on the track of series that this that Symphogear interacts with.
Yeah, and it's all really based shit. So I only have one note left in my thing. I bet there's other stuff that you guys have to go through, but while I'm here, like my one note, so I burned through all of my notes memories, is that I found it remarkable that in her final confrontation in her arc, Maria needs to destroy the image of Serena. Because this kind of embodies for her another example of a memory that she has interpreted wrong. Because that's also like a motif we carry onwards. Because in G, based on her memory of Serena, we talked about this in G-Cast, how she came to think about heroism through Serena fucked her up. Like, it gave us really wrong ideas. Serena's real sacrifice is like a great thing, but she couldn't really grow past it. She couldn't really, let's say, forgive the world until like the end of G. And here we are, that Serena's real sacrifice now is turned into a moment where she needs to grow past like the image of Serena she had. And
well, I mean, it ultimately tinged Maria's usage of Argotlam. Like we see in all the fights with the auto scorers that she is not the one any of them are interested in, right? Her song is not that sort of like transcendent moment of your memories. She's the one that's trapped by them.
Yeah.
And it's this moment where she ultimately destroys Serena's image that she's able to move past it, right?
Absolutely. Yep. And that's the way this show, this season specifically, Galaxy Cross, is. I think, I've kept tally so far. I liked season 1 more than season 2. I like GX Galaxy Cross more than 1 and 2. So, here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Number 1. We're on the upward, the slow upward climb of. I don't even know if it's called slow. I think it fucking it's some leapfrogging shit.
The thing for Willis, it starts at a 10, and like it is still like we're going to the fucking moon in terms of the quality.
Oh, I know.
Listen. There's this old meme in Symphogear, okay, where it's like the the curve of Symphogear, and like it's of course I disagree with it, but it's kind of like goes up and down for season 1, and then at the end of season 1 it starts going up really fast. Then for G it just goes up like consistently towards the end, and then you read GX episode 1 and the line just goes straight up, and you don't even see it. It's just it's gone. It's in space. And that's how GX starts, in space.
It's true. How else could you start a series like this except in space? That's just so true.
Yeah, especially after every other season ended in space. That's
True.
where GX begins.
Oh, here's another thing came to mind. That Carol's song's, of course, genocide, right? I love it.
God, I fucking love that. This is the most tuney song ever, but like in the best way possible. The fucking lyrics on that song are incredible. It's just say what you say, and I'll read the lyrics afterwards, okay?
Yeah. So my view into this is again that we have this idea that Carol is like hatred fueled, cannot forgive the world for some reason. Well, we talked about the reason, of course. And her reaction to that is not just like the dissolution of everything. She makes it explicit. It is genocide, complete genocide. Well, let's not forget the associations of genocide.
And genocide.
Genocide is not just the chuny idea of let's just kill all people. It is often a very targeted thing and politically motivated against certain groups. And I just want to highlight again for our dear listener, Howard, if we have a villain that is codified with genocide, that is a rejection of fascist ideas. Fuckwit.
All right, so listen. Urururira, the universe tilts. Urururira, the sun freezes. Genocide and genocide. Until not even a drop of blood is left. With hatred and power, it tears you apart. Tremble in fear of the love song that breaks the world apart.
Love, my
so
dear.
fucking good. It's so good.
I mean, I think.
By the way, can we talk about Inori Minase's performance on Carol? God damn, she's good. She
should have been a main character.
She should have been a main character.
So good. I think the thing that I have to say that's interesting about that is that like blood or rubedo is the final step of alchemy when you've received the finished product. And so we can kind of see all throughout this that Carol's alchemy is ultimately unfinished, right?
Yeah.
And it has to be completed by Elf 9.
Fortunately, it is unfinished. Otherwise, the world would have ended.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
God.
I just thought I'd point that out as a last thing.
I mean, we could keep on pogging, but I mean, it's just good, guys. Just watch it. Just pog. Eat ups. You're stupid.
Just
GX
fucking watch Symphogear.
Fuck eat-ups. Give GX a Galaxy Cross. Listen, don't tell eat-ups this. Eat-ups don't listen to this.
No.
Will,
don't
you
worry.
gotta go to
I mean,
eat-ups and say, eat-ups, we're gonna watch a show together. It's called Galaxy Cross. You're gonna love it. And then you just start GX.
True. Listen, I'm recording a podcast with eat-ups right after this. Okay, I'm going to mention that we're just recorded this, but I'm not gonna say to him to listen to it.
All right,
But eat-ups,
secret shit.
You're stupid.
You gotta give Doc some shit for not watching Symphogear.
Yep.
Put him on the spot.
Okay, sure. I will question him.
Interrogation is what we call that.
All right. I think I'm done personally. That was great.
I think we've pogged for a whole 2.5 hours. Any last words? Any plugs? Any?
Yes,
any
plugs. Digicord Radio. Go on my channel, Will the Dill, on YouTube.
Maybe explain it too, yeah.
Digicord Radio is a podcast about the people of the Digicord universe, aka the 3 servers, Ohio Nation, Digicord, and Yardcord. And this
which is the ex-Digibro a now Digine Patreon Discord, which she has left a while ago, but still exists as its own community. Because maybe this podcast has a bigger audience than that community. So
because we alienated her. Whatever. Let's not get into it. Yeah, let's go listen to it. It's fun. I'm sure everyone who's listening to this is already listening to it.
Lots
but
of
who
lore.
cares?
I am on one episode of that, so
Miki's in another one.
Yeah.
I've been in an episode. Wada's been in an episode. Nyard's been in an episode. Tangela's been in an episode. Dark's gonna be in the next episode, as we just heard. We're getting everyone. We're bringing all the communities back together.
The extended
obviously
multiverse.
inspired by my astral projection during New Year's. I mean, I'm
Yes.
glad to have been a foundational part of this.
For more about the astral projection story, listen to Miki's episode on Digicode Radio, which is wild.
All right, now Nyar, do plug your podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So as I mentioned earlier, at some point we just recorded a Nausicast, which is over on my channel, probably out by the time this is out, or maybe a few days later. But just subscribe. You know you want it. You know you want more of that. It is a Nausicast is a podcast about the Studio Ghibli movies, where we go through them in release order and analysis, and do some research and analysis on them and discuss our findings. Last episode now was Howl's Moving Castle. It's been a long one again, like 3.5 hours again. We're vibing, pogging, analyzing, looking in scenes very closely, having Voice Flower on to really give us the Howl pill to really show us what this movie is all about. It's a really good episode. Come check it out over at my channel called Nyat.
They're all doing alchemy on Howl while Voice is singing about Howl.
Oh, no, Voice did both of those things.
Oh,
perfectly.
based.
Howl was very Voice was very powerful, and Howl's Moving Castle, right? That's some good shit.
Cool. All right.
All right. Thank you guys for listening to this podcast. Thank you to Nyard and Will for coming on.
Thank you for having us on.
Miki, don't hang us for 2 other months for Axis, okay?
All right. I'll see what I can do. Hopefully we'll get to that soon.
Yeah.
There might be some alternate content coming out from me since my co-host has been dodging me for a while. We'll see what happens.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah. Fuck you. Peace off. Listen to our podcast, motherfuckers. Goodbye.
Watch Giant Robo.
Watch Giant Robo. Fuck yes. Watch Giant Gorg as well, because I hear
Gorg?
that's good.